Well, Colin, welcome, and I'm great to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Ryan. Yeah, thank you for, taking time to have me on and excited to be here.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, you're the first one to reach out to me first. That warmed my heart and made me feel great. Looking forward to diving into the marketing side. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, thanks for again having me on. So, my first experience working in marketing honestly was in the summer of 2021. Interned with the Lancaster Barnstormers, which were they compete in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. So if you haven't heard of it, it's an MLB partner league. So a lot of the rules and experimental test rules, so such as like larger bases, pitcher timers, anything that modifies and modernizes the game kind of gets tested in those leagues. And then essentially, I interned with them in the summer of 2021, and that was really my first, probably one of the most enjoyable times I ever had. Most fun summers I've had, just because I was a part of their in-game promotional squad called the Storm Squad. So we were responsible for the T-shirt tosses, retrieving contestants for all of our on-field and on-field promotions, and that was just such a fun time to really connect, to do all these like wacky dances, and that was really kind of the first my first love for marketing. And it was a long summer. I would commute an hour each day to get to the stadium because I was doing that for college class credit. But incredible experience. Even got to MC a little bit towards the end of the season, so that was my first real kind of testing the waters with marketing. And then following that, my senior year, so I went to James Madison University in Virginia. Probably have heard of them with the football. Football is very big there.
Yeah.
Basketball's starting to, be very successful
Okay.
there as well. So I was in their sport management program. So my senior year, it was only, especially in the spring semester, I was only taking two classes at the time. So I had tons of free time and I wanted to, utilize it, and not just, you know, be lazy and stay in my dorm all day. So I reached out to the JMU marketing fan engagement department because I had enjoyed the experience that I had with the Stormers, and figured why not give college athletics a try, and ended up doing that for the whole spring semester, primarily helping out with baseball, lacrosse, and softball. I ended up really enjoying it, volunteering there. Pretty much did almost all the games just because I had so much free time. So yeah, I really connected and built relationships with all the full time employees there, and actually that really helped me. Ended up getting a fan engagement assistant job post grad. I started work there from August 2022 to May of 2023, and that was first real kind of job. I mean, it was a very unique position in the sense that it wasn't full time, but I was working. I worked a total of 1,500 hours, so it was kind of like in that leeway between full time and part time. Primarily, my roles there where I was the head marketing contact for women's soccer, baseball, and then obviously helped out with our bigger sports such as basketball and football. And that was a very unique experience. A lot of learning, a lot of ups, downs, and growing, really understanding how a marketing plan works, how to prepare for a season, what really goes into any games, so between innings, any media breaks, and just the whole in venue experience in general. And then after that, I ended up that position of 2023. And then after a long process and months of applying for jobs, eventually landed the assistant director of marketing role here at Drake in Des Moines, Iowa. That was definitely, to this day, one of the biggest decisions to make, because I mean, I've been on the East Coast my whole life. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and then
Yeah.
went to college just 4 hours away in Virginia. Yeah, I interviewed there because I was interviewing all over the place at the time. I mean, even jobs in like Florida, California, Massachusetts, etc.
Yeah.
And
And you wound up in the
yeah,
Midwest. Welcome,
exactly. Yeah,
welcome to it.
is just interviewing here. I just really it was a small department, but I knew that this was like a good first stepping stone to getting working in, Power Forward, getting a director role and really building out my skills, and had a great interview process, went well. I got to come down here and meet some of the full-time members. It seemed like everyone had a great connection, a great bond, a great community. Ended up after, long talks with my family, ended up deciding to make the call and come down here. Then after that, it was another long process of, finding an apartments and, then making the whole trip down here in the U-Haul, about like a 14-15 hour drive from Pennsylvania. And yeah, since then, been here ever since, going to this will be my year 3 with Drake, starting in the 2025-26 year. That's just around the corner, which is crazy. But yeah, that's just kind of the basic, trajectory of my career so far.
Welcome to the Midwest. As someone that's been here my entire life, hopefully you're getting the Midwest hospitality and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, good time. It's people around you are awesome. Kind of going back to it, you had a lot of at JMU, you had a lot of volunteer opportunities and internships alike. The Lancaster role that you have, kind of speak to the importance of getting those internships and having that volunteer experience as it like projects you for a role like where you're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, internships and volunteer opportunities are the number one thing that college students or anyone that's wanting to break into this industry, whether it's facilities, whether it's ticketing, or whatever aspect of the industry that you're interested in, getting internships and volunteering and putting yourself out there is the number one way to not just grow and like learn skills and really understand how things work, but it's also how you make connections with people. And this is a phrase that, when anybody in the sports industry has heard of. It's not what you know, but who you know. And thankfully, at JMU, when I volunteered with them, I got to build up the relationship with 3 of those people. And then when I eventually applied, for that position, I kind of had an advantage because, I had worked with those people. They knew what I did there. They knew I was a hard worker. They knew that, I was willing to go and do whatever needed to do and be diligent, be detail oriented. Having those internships, it's just, and I know, and when I was at the Barnstorm, it's like, it was unpaid. I was working a total 400 hours as part of class credit. But to me, it was,
Yeah, that was the same here at
yeah.
KU for my development internship, unpaid for 8 to 5 every day, but well worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know when people hear that, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. Why would I want to work all those hours and not get paid? But in the end, you're getting a lot of experience. I mean, I got to MC, and this is for someone that's a very introvert person. That was something that I wanted to work on, and that was something that was very graciously, offered and got to do. It really kind of helped me understand how a professional baseball game works. I mean, I went to so many of these games growing up, in minor leagues. Pennsylvania is a huge route for minor league sports, and for me to actually understand how that works and the flow of the game was huge. And just getting involved with it builds up your resume, builds up your portfolio, and eventually people kind of see like you're getting out there and you're really putting yourself out there, and they'll recommend you to higher roles. They'll get you connected with the right people, and you'll eventually, more than likely land jobs that people that, hadn't gone as involved in or hadn't, really taken advantage of those opportunities wouldn't get unless you had gone out there and, get those jobs and get those internships and get that experience. So it's huge.
Yeah, I think the best part of like I've been having this buffer time in between graduation and starting up at my new role is that networking aspect and reaching out to others and doing what I'm doing now. Or even before I even had this idea of a podcast was like, hey, I had great experience and great people at KU. Let me just continue to build those connections. And that led me to the job that I got. I reached out to someone I worked with prior at KU, and they led me to one guy, and then that led me
Hmm.
a couple coffee dates later, it led me to the next guy that was ultimately the director of ticketing, which was the guy that ended up hiring me. So I think it's just super important for that networking aspect, like you're mentioning, to like continue to reach out and continue to have those conversations with others.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can you even mention like coffee dates or coffee, getting with someone? There were many times at JMU I had sat down and gotten food or gotten a coffee with one of the members there. In fact, one of them was like the director of basketball operations. And I found out, I didn't really want to enter that. That wasn't really something that piqued my interest. But when I started working with JMU, I had to work a lot with the basketball staff. And guess who was there? That director of the basketball operations. And I was able to build that relationship. And even, we started to work together. And, I ended up working out in my favor because I knew that person before. So I knew like what they wanted. I knew who they were as a person. And, it helped me out in the advance. So, take advantage of those, if, and don't be afraid to go on LinkedIn, kind of like what you did or what I did or anyone does, and just reach out to them.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's just that's yeah, honestly the best advice that you can give anyone, which we'll get to more of that later
Yeah.
with advice for other people. Kind of going through JMU, you have obviously a ton of volunteer and ambassador roles, and being that assistant that we kind of talked about, and then that next step that you were mentioning earlier, that next step to Drake, moving away, long hours, long way to go, and moving to the Midwest. What really like propelled you to go to Drake? What kind of influenced you? Was it the people? Was it the campus? What was that kind of draw?
Yeah, definitely a mixture of the people, but also just the opportunity and the roles I would have here. Because obviously, I was looking for something where I would be in charge of all the marketing aspects, for school. And at Drake, obviously basketball is a bigger program here. So it was really unique for me because a lot of what I do is I work with the men's and women's basketball program. I'm doing the marketing plans for them. I'm executing an in-venue experience for both of the sports. And at JMU, yeah, I was more of like kind of a secondary role with basketball and football. I did like some music with the basketball and football. I helped out with any like on-field promotions or anything as signed, but I didn't really fully get involved and integrated with those sports. So when Drake offered the chance to be the marketing person for basketball and really take control of that, it really excited me because, yeah, I'd seen what we had done at JMU and, I had ideas that we could do at Drake and, be able to work with people and I'll have all these different video boards and whole different venue to work with. So that really kind of appealed my interests. And then obviously the people, my boss Greg here has done a great job empowering me and giving me roles and really, helping build me up, which is, you want anyone with boss to do. I mean, you want someone that's going to build you up and, help you out and give you roles. And, even if it's like a tough role or tough project, like it gives you a chance to grow and develop and not just, give them like little shady, it's like small, niblet tasks.
Yeah.
They during the interview process it definitely sounded like they would give me the chance to grow and be involved and really kind of take advantage of all the opportunities I had here. So those were really two of the biggest things that kind of just really appealed my interest to Drake. And I thought coming out of college I really wanted to just immediately jump up to like a bigger school, but it was also nice hearing that at a smaller school like one of those group of five conferences, it kind of gives you a chance to really kind of like ease into like the marketing industry and kind of get a different sense of it because obviously a Jamie football game and Drake football game are very two different, in venue experiences and atmospheres. So it was kind
Yeah.
of it was really cool to really get a unique aspect of, of a conference, the Pioneer Football League conference that's not as big, you don't see them on the ESPN and all of that. So it kind of gives you a chance
Yeah.
to get a different perspective on things. And that was something that kind of appealed my interest to kind of see like, what I can do with here at Drake football. Obviously, a much different experience than a JMU football game.
So during this time, as you're kind of transitioning into Drake, you had a little experience of supervising some interns at JMU, but what's the process and kind of um, what's the leadership change of being like I'm the one being taught stuff, and now I'm the one teaching others. Because obviously everyone grows every day, and everyone's still learning and stuff. But what's that process of like, oh, I actually have people that are under me now that I need to kind of look out for and supervise. But how do you kind of switch that role of like I'm the one under someone to I need to help someone under me?
Yeah, it's still trying to, really perfect that, to be honest with you. But really, what with the interns, I mean, because it's a very unique experience here at Drake, where there's not a sport management program. I mean, there's a sport media that's starting here, but a lot of the interns that we have are business majors, media and arts and design majors, some political science majors even. So it's a very unique where a lot of these kids are more than likely not trying to enter the sports industry. So you kind of have to, I try to approach this mind of like just trying to teach them, basic skills and trying to really teach them like these software and these skills are more kind of going to help you through life. It's not just more of like, working in sports, but they're going to help you through life. And yeah, especially in with our interns. I mean, we kind of split up with like office hour workers and game day workers. And with the
Hmm.
office hour workers, I kind of try to make a list of all these softwares and all these things that we could teach them, whether it's adding music to our music system, teaching them like the basic skills of Photoshop, or getting them to help write scripts using templates. So I kind of try to give them an opportunity to learn how to use these software and kind of learn how to, formulate ideas that we can use at games. So I give them these roles and I really try, like, I sit down with them and I kind of show them the way. I show them, like, the basic skills, but then I kind of try to, something I really have been trying to improve on the last couple of years is really trying to, let them embrace their creativity instead of me just telling them, like, this is how we need to do it. This is where
Hmm.
this XYZ needs to be, this is how we're doing it. And I try to open it up more and try to get ideas from them. And there's been times this past year where they've taught me ideas. They've kind of like come up with an idea that's like, hey, that's pretty unique. Whether it's you know, like shooting on our mascot, on during a soccer game, like a little penalty shootout. Those are ideas that
Yeah.
they come up with, and we take it. Or we have been working closely with our mascot, and he's come up with ideas of how to get our mascot more involved in the community. So I try to take those ideas and see what we can do and how we can execute those. So I really try. It's very unique. I've always been, I guess, growing, you're always so told, you're so used to being told like this is how you do it. And you're used to not really being the supervisor. So when I was a supervisor, it's definitely a big change. And
Yeah.
I create task lists, that all the interns can see, and I share that in a document. And even with some people, there's one person that's stronger with Photoshop, so I might give them more of like an intense or more advanced like graphic design. Whether someone that's
Yeah.
not as proficient with Photoshop or is kind of starting to learn the basic skills of it, I give them one of our normal like templates or web banners or marquees that we kind of put up on our website, and I kind of just have them, change logos and change wording and move stuff around a little bit, and then start from there and kind of just build them on. So I really just kind of utilize their skills and what they want to do. You have like a form that the interns may say, well, like, what do you like to do? What do you want to learn more about? And some of them said, I want to learn more about how to run a show. So I brought them up to the press box for our soccer games, and then throughout the year, I kind of sit back. I'm sitting in stands and letting them run the show. And if they have any advice or have any questions, they come to me, or if they need any help, I jump up there. But that's kind of just how I try to roll with it. I try to be a little more, democratic about it. I mean, I try not to be too hands-on, and let them kind of run the show. If they have any questions, they can ask me, and they kind of go from there.
Yeah, no, and it obviously seems to be working. It seems to be a success as you've gotten from one mascot to four, I believe, and then you've gotten from five interns to 10. So that just kind of shows that what you're running is successful and how you're doing it is working.
I appreciate it. I'd like to think
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, kind of diving into the marketing side, it's unfamiliar, at least for the guests that I've had on here, and it's a little unfamiliar territory, and we haven't really had anyone on that has been on the marketing side. So kind of give us the rundown of day to day and what's been the most successful marketing campaign that you've done.
Yeah, so day to day, it's really, like I said, I think you've heard of a lot of it. It's a very different day to day from like in season
Yeah.
to, in the summer. So right now, I'll kind of start with the summer. Is a lot of what I'm doing right now is just kind of preparing for the next season, whether it's trying to get scripts and trying to get, graphics done in advance. So we're not scrambling a few days before the game. Also, right now, I mean, focusing on basketball marketing plans, starting to get ideas of what we can do, even though we don't have schedules yet. We have a few game times. So, we're pinning those dates that we know on their calendars and seeing what we can do, especially for our bigger non conference games. But then earlier in the summer, I mean, pretty much right when our last sports season ended in May with softball ending. I mean, we were going right into getting marketing plans ready for, the fall season with soccer and football and starting to get those done early in the summer and working on those and working with our budgets to get any props or get any giveaway items that we want to get in advance. So that's primarily summer is just preparing, and also we're getting involved with like summer festivals to promote the Drake brand. So we use those as well throughout the summer to get things prepared and sell tickets as well. And then in the season, it's very unique. I obviously there's interns coming every day, so we, work with them and give them tasks, and then depending on how many games we have a week, if we have like 3 or 4 games a week, we're getting that stuff done a week in advance, and we're during the week we're primarily just kind of use our time to finalize, game day preparations so we're all ready come game day. And then for games that aren't as busy, we might be trying to get scripts done in advance, getting any video board graphics that need to be done, testing out any ideas or promotions that we want to do in the game, whether it's on our video board or on the court. So yeah, a lot of it just differs day by day. I mean, there's some things that I'm doing the same, whether it's script writing or, working, getting graphics done, but there might be unique stuff. I might have to help out with our fundraising department, sending an email for them, or with
Yeah.
facilities I might have to help move some stuff, or get something prepared in our arena for some sort of event that's being held at our basketball arena. So that's what I kind of like. I like how every day's like a little different. I think when you do the same thing every day, you kind of just get a little bored of it. So it's really nice that I work in a industry and a job where everything's a little bit different each day. I mean, obviously there's similarities here and there, but every game's different. Every week's kind of a, you could have 3 games one week, you could have no games this week. It's very unique
Mm.
in the sense that, my schedule is always like kind of changing, which is sometimes a bad thing, but a lot of it I really enjoy, the
Yeah.
uniqueness and, the of it. And then one of my biggest marketing campaigns that are recently successful that we really enjoyed was we have in basketball, we do this thing called Des Moines Hometown Team Weekend that started a couple seasons ago before I got here at Drake. And essentially, it's a weekend in February or January where from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, our Drake teams play 3 straight games. So it's usually like 2 women's games and 1 men's game. And the whole thing is to really promote Des Moines and the brand and the awareness of Des Moines. So our basketball teams wear these Des Moines hometown jerseys with the skyscrapers on them. And we always try to do something that's unique towards Des Moines. So one year we worked with local Des Moines high schools and we got all their basketball jerseys. And then our players during warmups wore them during the warmups. And then we kind of just honored the schools throughout halftime. And then this year, was really happy about was our Nap Center kind of got renovated this last summer, not this summer, where our atrium kind of got whole renovated. So when you walked into the Nap Center, there was update banners, there was a whole new Hall of Honor. I mean, all these awards and trophies that Drake had won the last few years were now in trophies, and all the recent graduates had been put up on the banners. So as kind of a welcome to that new renovation, we worked with our departments to get live music, have like a little concert pregame, and bring a local Des Moines art into the area that people have heard of. And then we had worked with our concessions to sell local beer, local Des Moines food. So it's a whole kind of like local Des Moines fest almost. And we did this Friday and Saturday where people could buy tickets to the have a ticket bundle where they would get to the pregame, and they would also, get to watch the game as well. And we ended up selling about 100 of those for each of the Friday and Saturday. Had one of our highest attended Des Moines hometown team weekend records in memory. So little basic things, it wasn't no huge giveaways or anything, but it was really nice to just really come up with the whole Des Moines theme, get some Des Moines themed food out there, and get Des Moines artists and get to see people's Des Moines hometown team in a whole renovated arena.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then to just celebrate the new renovation is something that's very key for not just you guys, but like every athletic department. And for us at KU, we just renovated our football stadium. So
Yeah.
that's been a big priority, and a lot of celebrations are to had for at least phase one being done, which will be showing off in here in about 2 weeks for the first football game. But also just going back to the day to day and stuff like that, just to kind of relate, it's great to have, like you mentioned, not every day is the same, which for me and for probably you too, like that could just be tedious stuff. And like it would just be like, I can't do this like every day, like the same thing every day. But
Yep.
to have something new every day and a new campaign or new whatever project you're working on, like anything for a game, or like you mentioned in the summer, it's good to have refreshing ideas and different stuff. And it's also good to have interns to lean on as well, that you kind of mentioned, and is very important as just being in as just being in an intern roles. That's great stuff. Obviously big priority for the marketing side and everything that goes on in there. And that kind of just leads me to what I want to ask next is what's the biggest opportunity you see in growth? You mentioned the new renovated stadium. You mentioned kind of some campaigns, but where do you see the marketing side for this year and years beyond kind of growing towards? And is it more like digital stuff like TikTok or maybe like Reels and stuff like that? Or is it more in-game activities? And you mentioned mascot stuff. Is it more of fan involvement, or maybe social media? Or where do you kind of see marketing go towards in these next couple of years?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, especially one is actually, AI, the impact of AI, here in marketing. And I think it kind of helps that earlier this week, we just, our external staff sat down with two people, and they gave us a whole big spiel about like AI and all these like different AI models. And eventually, it can help me like write scripts, it can help like create like graphics and all that. And
Yeah.
obviously, there's things like we would have to talk about in external, but I think in the next couple of years, I definitely can see or anybody in marketing kind of using like AI to, get scripts done, help it like create like a plan for work, create templates, graphic templates, create like a way to, put job postings out there. And I think it'll take a lot of like the tedious like tasks and little detail oriented tasks that we really have to focus on, and kind of like save time with it. And it's stuff I still have to learn about. I mean, I do, use ChatGPT right now to like maybe help write an email, help like get like a
Yeah.
section ready, kind of like just basic AI stuff. But it's really unique that in the next few years, that they could be writing a whole like script for me. They could be creating a whole different graphics. They could be creating videos for us, and we could tell them
Mhm.
like this is what we want in a video, and then within minutes it's there. I mean, I think it's just insane the power of it. And I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not gonna like replace me or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I mean AI and stuff like that, it is getting a little scary where it could just like we mentioned, the intern level roles. It could just, I don't know, hopefully not take them, but do a lot of their job and do a lot of that tedious work that you kind of mentioned. And for a lot, I mean, for most people in this industry, that's where everyone starts, is that intern level or assistant level. Kind of, yeah, I guess you could say just level, but, and hopefully it doesn't mess with that, but because that's where everyone kind of starts and kind of gets their path going.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's definitely really getting bigger and really just impacting everyone. And obviously, some of it's positively, sometimes negatively. We've seen articles about how people are losing jobs because AI can basically just do their jobs for them now, and it saves companies money and all that. But what I'm kind of looking on like the positive outlook of it, he's here, especially in the sports industry, it can definitely save a lot of time. It can help us, come up with like video content. And I think even in the AI, I mean, we have a guy here named Michael who does podcasts. He does like all this preparation for interviews with Drake coaches and student athletes. And we found out that there's an AI that basically just has like a whole script or whole dialogue of like all the recorded video, and you can just like press buttons and remove words or just changing up the words. And I mean, that could be a complete game changer for him because it'll save him so much time when he has to edit and then eventually submit this podcast. So it's really exciting to see what we can do. I think definitely AI in the next few years will definitely like impact our jobs when it comes to graphic creation, when it comes to how we script out a whole basketball game. And I'm really excited to see what I can do with it, and what abilities I have that will make our lives a little easier.
Yeah, no, for sure. And hopefully we'll drive up some numbers. And to mention some numbers, I mean, you've done some great stuff at Drake. You had a volleyball game day attendance record at your time there, and you've had an increase of football game attendance by 31%, which was one of the games was the highest at Drake in a decade. So that's just kind of all about those promotions and getting people in the seats. And then also you've had a real increase in social media engagement too. If you would just like kind of talk about those aspects of just getting people in the seats and engaging with them online.
For sure. I mean, here at Drake, it's a little unique because obviously we have a little bit of a smaller budget than your power forward schools. So we can't really have a huge giveaway every day, or for most
Yeah.
games like other schools can. So here at Drake, obviously we really just try to target our bigger games, especially for like that volleyball one. I mean, UNI is one of the best teams in our conference. They win the conference championship almost every year, and it's always a big game when they come over here. It was a idea that actually one of our coaches had. He came to me and be like, we should do a giveaway. I thought about, shoes, because I mean, all the student athletes get like, unique Adidas shoes, and we started to formulate ideas for it. We had a whole plan where me and a couple of the volleyball players would go out to public traffic area on campus and give them a half sheet and show the shoe that they could possibly win, and kind of do a little market magic where I really hype up the
Yeah.
game, talking to them. And eventually, yeah, it led to over like 2,000 people at the volleyball game. Very great atmosphere. I mean, it's always a little tough with volleyball because our games are Friday and Saturday nights, and obviously, those are high school and college football nights, and students have other plans during the weekend. So it's really great to just have even the smallest like little giveaway item really gets people into the stadium. And then with the social media engagement, it's one of the biggest things we have here that's a non-athletic sport is the Drake Relays premier track and field meet that's held in April every year, where former Olympians and even current and future Olympians come to the Blue Oval and compete, as well as high school and college athletes from all around the state of Iowa. And the biggest thing we were trying to do is really increase social media engagement, get people excited to come to the Drake Relays, and kind of realize it's more than just a track and field meet. So I worked with our video production team, and we create videos of all the week festivities. Like there's a Grand Blue Mile where anybody can just come and walk downtown, run downtown for a mile and get a bunch of gear. They can get tickets to games, they can get a Spike plushie doll, and those are the kind of things we really want to promote, that, the relays is more than just a track and field meet. It's a community event. There's so much fun around. You
Hmm.
can meet an Olympian. We do like shot put showcase where a bunch of Olympian shot putters come in. They do a competition and everyone gets to sign autographs with them after the game. So we use those to really promote it. And then, we kind of worked a lot with like national days. So like we create like graphics for student athlete day and put a bunch of student athletes in the photos. So we really just kind of use national days or just utilizing like any sort of contests or competitions to really get people and entice people to come. And it led to a higher social media engagement. And, in this year we surpassed over $1 million of revenue, for the relays. So it just really kind of
Nice.
shows, the teamwork and collaboration really can lead to great
Hmm.
success and results. And, it shows that people, come to the events and, really for the fan engagement and the community aspect rather than just, track and field meet, which is, what we try to promote.
Yeah, and it's great that it's not just like football or basketball, like the powerhouse sports that it's really every sport, and it's not you're not just honing in on one sport and just going all in on that, but instead you're spreading the love and in a sense, and making sure that each sport gets its own love and recognition that it obviously highly deserves, and that's really cool that yeah you're able to have those types of big events for each one, like the relays or the volleyball games. So that's super cool in my eyes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even like with small things like for soccer, I mean, we have like 3 doubleheaders this year, so we're gonna be getting inflatables and, really, and we went been out in the community this summer and been promoting the game and talk about how we'll have Spike and all these family friendly atmosphere. The earlier you can talk about it, the better, and, really kind of you try to promote like the family fun friendly aspect of it and the fun part of it. It gets people to come to the game rather than just saying like, hey, we have a soccer game. It's all about really piquing people's interest and really targeting your audience.
Yeah, obviously you see the impact of it on attendance records and social media for sure, but what's the immediate feedback that you guys kind of look at and go to? Is it those social media numbers? Is it the attendance numbers, or is it combination of it all, or is there a survey you give out sometimes? What's that feedback process look like for you guys, and how do you improve upon each event?
Yeah, good question. Combination, honestly, especially during the relays. At the end, we have this whole big survey feedback where that's led by our Learfield team, and we get like the results. And obviously, a lot of it is like stuff that's difficult, like parking, because it's a big event and it's an on campus. But then there's things like, oh, like people really gravitated towards the shot put showcase, or people really gravitated toward the family friendly zone. And, that kind of shows like, okay, yeah, should keep doing this, but build upon it and kind of see what else we can add to it. Cause you don't want to keep recycling the same old stuff. You want to always improve and, enhance the experience. And social media is also big too. I mean, obviously, whenever we have like videos or if we have like meetups or anything like that, we post on social media, and there's comments where people are like, "Oh, love this," or like, or they might have some negative comments, but we do try to, see that and kind of see what people are engaging with, because social media engagement rate metrics are definitely a big factor in what we kind of do. And, we have a whole little spreadsheet of like stuff that we post throughout the month, and then we see what gets the higher engagement rate. And we kind of use that to see how we can build upon those type of videos and what other videos we should be producing and putting out content.
Yeah, for sure. I think feedback is probably one of the most important things besides the actual event, but getting that feedback from others and seeing how you can improve, what went bad, what went good, especially with your event management background. What's next for you, do you think? What's next for you in your journey? And do you think you're at the place you need to be for a while, or is there something down the line that's really interesting you in your path?
Yeah, I really love Drake. I mean, obviously, there's a reason I've been here the last few years. It's been a great, incredible experience, great community, and every year we're just improving and getting better. Whether it's with our fan engagement or whether it's our organizational methods as well. Yeah, eventually, I mean, yeah, I don't know how long this will be, whether it's, a couple years down line or whatever, but yeah, I eventually really want to get like a director position, obviously, and whether that's, I think of the beginning of that starting at a smaller school, kind of like here at Drake, where I can, utilize those skills what I've learned at Drake and kind of apply to like a smaller school, and then eventually would love to, take that on to our Power Four school, your SECs, Big Tens, etc. And then, maybe in the next 10 years, so I can be like, one of those assistant athletic director of marketings, or you see those associate AD positions. That's way far down the line. Yeah, it's something I'm not really thinking about immediately, present day.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah, I think again, I really like Dre, but eventually you want to kind of like challenge yourself, kind of like see what else you can do, and apply to like what you've learned somewhere. I see myself doing that in the, next few years, hopefully.
For sure, it's definitely important to have those long-term goals, and I'm still figuring out mine, but at least got to start in ticketing, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. And obviously, a director of ticketing role would be amazing. And but yeah, for you, I mean, it's the marketing side, and it's cool to see that you have that aspiration and goal to go to a Power Four, but SEC, Big Ten, and yeah, super important to have that and to have that path and know that it is. And hey, maybe it's a little closer than you think.
Yeah,
You
who
can
knows,
always. Yeah, you never know with opportunities and just networking and or each day, you just never know what can behold. But to kind of round it out, this is like my favorite question to ask, which kind of ends it off. But what's that advice that you'd give to a 22 college, maybe college grad or in college, still in college? What would that advice be that you'd give to them and that they could take moving forward?
Yeah, I would say, get involved and, meet as many people as you can and take advantage of any opportunity that you have, even if it's, even if it's in like a volunteering for a 2-hour shift or it's something, even those little things, they add up. And eventually you can build relationships. The more you get noticed, the more you put yourself out there, the more people notice you, and the more chances you'll have people that will recommend you or be a reference, for jobs. Because again, I think I said it earlier in this podcast. I mean, it's not what you know, but who you know. And I mean, if you're working with people that can vouch for you and say that you're a hard worker and that you're dedicated and you have the abilities and the skills for a position, it's gonna be more beneficial, and you have a higher chance of getting those roles rather than, hey, I mean, I never really spoke to anyone, I don't really have anything on my resume, but I had a great GPA or whatever. I mean, it's gonna be way better than that. And the second thing I would say is just be patient. I mean, it took me a long time I mean, I started applying before I came here to Drake. I started applying, I think, January of 2023. And then I didn't get that position, didn't get offered the position until June of 2023. So, I mean, that's what, almost half a month. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a process, and it's can be frustrating at times. I mean, I went through a lot of rejections, a lot of people not hearing back, but that's part of the journey. That's part of the road. And and instead of, and again, even for me, it was a little bit deflating at times. I mean, especially for ones that felt like I really did a good job with the interviews or anything like that. But but my advice is just kind of take what you learn from it. Especially the more interviews you do, the more you kind of realize like what questions are very common in these types of interviews, and you can just eventually keep practicing those at home. So, when your fifth, sixth interview or whatever number comes around, you'll know exactly what to do. You'll be prepared. You'll sound confident. You'll have a good answer with backed up support and evidence. And eventually, I'm not saying I'll immediately get you a job, but I mean, it definitely will lead
Yeah.
to, people recognizing you. And, I mean, there's been times where got rejected for one role at school, but then they really liked my resume. They liked my interviews. So they, offered me a chance to apply for another role. I mean, that's happened to me a
Uh,
few times, before I came here to Drake. And so it's a process, but stay patient, ask questions, ask for feedback. As we mentioned, feedback's important. And, if you really take advantage of those opportunities and people that you work with in the industry, your chances will go higher and you'll have a good chance. Never stop learning.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Is like those interview processes, it feels long and tedious,
Hmm.
and you're asking yourself why, like why not me, or you feel like you had a strong interview, and just having just gone through that quite literally like weeks ago, like not even like months or years ago, but just like weeks ago, and going through that process and just doubting yourself in a sense, and like being like, I don't know, why didn't I get that? But it's always just like fate, or it's like just fate. You're gonna wind up at the spot that you'll be best at, and those positions. I mean, looking back, I interviewed for some stuff that I was like, that is just quite literally not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And if I like landed it, I would have took it, and it just would have been miserable. But I'd, having that patience and finding that right interview or that right position, it'll eventually come. I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is it's going to eventually come. And whether that's weeks, months, days, it's going to come around. And I think that's super, super important to have in your back pocket and in your mind.
Yeah, you nailed it. And another thing is just, when you do get eventually job offer, don't just accept the first job offer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
before I took this job at Drake, I actually had gotten a GA position at a small school in New Jersey. And I remember this was like the first job offer I had after months and months of applying and going through interviews. And I remember immediately thinking, yep, this is it. I'm gonna do this. This is where I'm gonna get started. This is my career. This is where my career trajectory begins. And ended up after really like talking to the people that were in that role, and I was realizing, yeah, this isn't the right fit. And I obviously rejected that offer. And looking back on it, it was definitely a good decision. And because not to say I would have had a bad experience there, but I just don't think I would have had the chances and opportunities in that role that I have gotten here at Drake. And so, yeah, when you get the job offer, definitely ask a lot of questions about it, like get to talk to people in the role. I mean, if there's anyone that that was in the role that's in that role that you're going to be taking, ask some
Hmm.
questions about what it's like. Because, if I hadn't asked that person in the previous role at that New Jersey school questions, I probably would have just accepted it, and who knows where I would have been at. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
just again, the patience and, ask questions and, really take your time because, this is a big decision. It's like I kind of think of jobs as a, college decision. I mean, you're not just going to go to the first college that accepts you. You're not going to just go to the nearest college. You're really going to have to think about like what you want in a college. Like, what do you want to do with your major? Do you enjoy the campus? Who are the people you're going to be, working with, or who's going to be, teaching you. It's, they
Hmm.
kind of just go hand in hand. So, I really kind of like to think of it like that.
Real quick, just who were some of your mentors and people that kind of looked out for you in your process of, even all the way back to the Lancaster Barnstormers or present day, just anywhere in between? Who were some people that had gave you some guidance, some advice, or just kind of looked out for you,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
that
I think
mentorship?
beginning it with the Lancaster, I mean, the three of the biggest ones I could think of is, Alex Bunn, who was my internship supervisor. I mean, she was the one that would assign everyone like game day roles. And when I came up to her and I said, I really am enjoying like the in-game promotional squad, can I like do these more? She gladly allowed me to do it all the time. And then she helped me work with our MC, Ed and Brian. I mean, those two guys were just astounding, amazing MCs. I mean, they're both still crushing in their roles, and they gave me advice and they gave me the chance to MC and understand a game flow. And because I mean, when we were in MC there was no PA script. There was you were just kind of like free balling it. It was a little tough first. I mean, there was growing pains, but they stayed patient with me and they gave me the chance to eventually just do games all the time towards the end of that 2021 season. Those three I owe a lot to them for, and I mean, a few of them I even just saw earlier this summer. So it was great to see them again. And then at JMU, I mean, my three biggest ones, Jake, the director there, he gave me gave me a chance to take on roles, put a lot of, roles and tasks on me, but, helped me because, the more I got I learned, the more of the projects I did, the more I knew like what to do. And, he gave me the chance to grow. And it was actually, he was even really helpful, especially when I was applying to jobs before I came to Drake. I mean, he would send me like all these opportunities, and, he obviously knew people in the industry and would say, hey, like, this is what you should be focusing on in the interviews. So he definitely played a huge role in that. And then Casey was, my supervisor there at JMU, and he always like sat me down and, talked to me about like what I could be doing. And, he pushed me to do better and was always, willing to help me grow and enhance my skills. And unfortunately, he's left the industry by then. He's been doing, other things now, but, he played a huge role in me, really understanding how, a sporting event and marketing campaign works at JMU. And then, my sister, Lay was at a fellow fan engagement assistant with me, and then she actually ended up getting promoted to an assistant director role, right around the time I was still working there. And, she just always brought positive energy, always was such a nice, caring person, always, wanting to work with us. I mean, just, and now she's just taken a role at UVA, which, congrats to her. And there's a reason why. I mean, she's a hard worker. She comes up with the creative ideas, and, she kind of helped, I mean, we were the same age we're the same age, but she inspired me to kind of do better, and, inspired me to,
Yeah.
come up with promotions and marketing campaigns. And then, here at Drake, I mean, obviously my boss Greg's just really given me the chance to empower and grow, enhance my skills, and we've developed a great friendship and work relationship. And he's given me the chance to, be on the headset and direct, productions for football and basketball, and it's, led me to realize this is what I love doing, and I can keep growing and learning from it. So, yeah, those guys are the ones that I've worked with closely the most. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other people that I worked with in different departments in those, jobs I've had. So I want to give a shout out to all of them. And, I apologize that, I can't name everyone here. I mean, that would just add the 30 minutes to this podcast, but everyone really just has played a huge role, whether it's indirectly or directly. Would not be in this position and wouldn't be speaking to you here right now, without their support and assistance. So thank you, Dad. Thank you to all of them. Yeah, I owe it all to you.
Yeah, I know for sure. It's great to have those mentors and people that just look out for you in a sense. And they're just genuinely great people that want to look out for you and care for you and care to see where you go in life. And I think that's super important to have around you. And especially in a time of you moving away from you kind of where you've known for, and then you're like, what you said, 15 hours away, 15, 16 hours away.
Something like that, man. I mean, it's far. I just, whenever anyone asks, I just say it's far, very far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have those people you can go to, and they'll still give that advice and guidance. But Colin, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I'd assume you got a busy schedule for today, so I won't take up too much more of your time. But I just want to say thank you. It means a lot that you came on and reached out, and this is an awesome conversation.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again for having me on, and I'm looking forward to seeing how, your podcast grows. I'll be paying attention, and, don't hesitate to, reach out to me with anything, or, if anyone that does listen to this podcast wants to hear more, or, hear me yap a little more, feel free to, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anyone going into marketing or just in playing sports in general, yeah, reach out to you. What's your LinkedIn so they can know?
Yeah, so LinkedIn's just my name, Colin, with one L, and then Salig, Salig. That's my last name. So just feel free to, search. I mean, also on the podcast title, probably have my name on it too.
Yeah.
So if you just copy and
Yeah.
paste into Google or copy paste into LinkedIn, I should be one of the first people to pop up. So, don't hesitate to send me a connection request or just message me. Depending on my availability and how my week's going, I may not respond right away. So don't panic if I don't respond to you right away. I'm probably just, busy with other things, but I do promise that I will respond to you whenever I get a chance.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll put your social medias on here too. But yeah, definitely a genuine person that everyone should reach out to if they're getting into marketing or sports in general. So, Colin, this is awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Of course, Ryan. Thank you. We'll keep in touch, man.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank
Of
you.
course.